to my show. My name is Christy, and today I'm going to be sharing with you a collection of stories with my experiences of dealing with work bullies before. I'll tell you what I did in that situation or what I should have done. Believe it or not, I have tons of work bullying stories. It took me a while to realize you will always work with bullies everywhere you go. They are everywhere. Work bullies are the type of weak-minded people who take their anger out onto others instead of working on their own issues in life. They may have a miserable home life, or they may hate their job even. What makes them weak-minded is that they are stuck in an endless loop of never trying to find the source of their pain and instead taking that hurt out onto others so they can feel better about themselves. Any type of negative person like this is weak-minded. My first work bully story is from a long time ago. I was this waitress at a Mexican restaurant. I had never been a waitress before. I was also the only waitress that they had there. No one trained me. I kind of had to learn everything on my own. The manager was also the owner there. He really didn't do much. When people called in orders, he would answer the phone and put the orders in, and that was probably about it. There was one day a customer got the wrong order and they were complaining to him about it. He called me over and started going off on me in front of the guest. I knew it wasn't me that made that mistake, but instead he thought blaming me for the mistake that he made would make him look better. I didn't let it bother me, and later a table came in that usually left me a huge tip. The manager also knew this. He took the table from me and started taking their order. It was the first and only time he decided to be a waiter. This made me really angry. There was so many times that I needed his help before, and he would do nothing at all to help me. To prove this point even further, the restaurant got even more busier. I could hardly keep up. The manager was just standing around talking and doing nothing. Each order I wrote down, my handwriting got even more sloppier. My anxiety was sky high. It was just so busy I couldn't even bust the tables even. I really needed help, but no one would help me. The manager then tells the dishwasher to go bust my tables and that he can keep my tips. I am beyond angry at this point. Then after I start to see my tips disappear off the tables, I can hardly even think straight anymore. My anxiety is so bad. I go through the back of the kitchen. I decided I needed to talk to someone. They shouldn't be taking my tips. That wasn't right. And I seriously needed them to help me. The restaurant was extremely packed now, and it was just too much work for one person to do. That's when I overheard the manager talking to the cook. They had no idea I was even there listening to them. The manager was telling the cook that he was planning on firing me after my shift was over. I honestly don't think the manager even knew how many people had just walked into the restaurant. What do you think I did? After hearing that and knowing that the restaurant was full, the dishwasher was stealing my tips while taking them off the tables, and I was going to get fired later on no matter what kind of craziness I went through. Did I A, clear my throat to get their attention and let them know I needed their help? Or B, did I pick up the closest thing to me and throw it across the kitchen, breaking it into a million pieces and startling the cook who was cooking a beef burrito? Could that be it? Or could it be C? Did I quietly turn around, grab my stuff, and walk out that door and decide to just quit and leave the manager with a restaurant full of people? If you said A or B, you were wrong. The correct answer is C. I honestly did not want to work my butt off to only have my tips stolen from me and then have to get fired later on. What? That did not seem like a great idea. While I was walking home, the owner's wife pulled up beside me. She starts telling me that it probably wouldn't look good on an application if I quit like this. I decided to turn around and I told her that I was going to walk back to the restaurant. After I saw her drive away, it dawned on me that if I did come back, it was going to be a total nightmare. I was probably going to get yelled at for leaving and still get fired anyways. I also realized that I didn't really need to put that job on any application. And how would my next job know about me quitting the way I did if I just simply didn't use that job as a reference at all? I didn't go back. I walked home, and not even a week later, I found an even better job that even paid more money. In this type of situation, I think I made the right choice. If a job is treating you this way, you should quit. Just walk out and don't ever look back. What kind of reference would they give you anyways? If it's such a toxic working environment like that, they're not going to give you a good reference. My next work bully story was also a long time ago, but it's such a good story that I wanted to share it with you. I used to work in a poker room. Well, before that, I was an overnight security guard. My ex had talked me into working in the poker room as a housekeeper, like the job that he had there. I didn't want to move to a different position, but since he wouldn't shut up about it, I ended up transferring to the housekeeping department. And shortly after, my ex transferred to security. I wasn't very happy in housekeeping at all, but I still tried to do the best job I could do. It wasn't much longer that I started to get complaints that the poker room was left messy and the bathrooms were disgusting. I decided to just try even more harder the next day. But nope, I got even more complaints. I began to think that I needed to start taking pictures of my work just to prove that I was actually doing my job. My boss calls me on the phone after I left work one day and tells me that everything is a mess and I needed to do a better job. At this point, I am so frustrated that I started to cry over the phone. My boss tells me that she's going to come in early to work the next day and she'll see what the place looks like after I leave. I say okay, and I don't even think about it until I get a call from her the next day. She apologizes to me over the phone. My boss tells me that when she came into work early that day, she caught someone rubbing a chocolate candy bar all over the toilet seats. Can you believe that? Someone wanted me fired so bad that they wasted a good candy bars to do it. My boss never told me who she caught doing it, so I often wondered if it could have been my ex who had done it. We were broken up during this time, so it kind of makes sense if he did. If this situation happened to you, I would suggest getting proof of your work by taking pictures or a video to show that you indeed did do your job. It sucks, but everywhere you go, you will work with people who bully you. You kind of have to decide if it's really worth sticking around at a job like this or not. I had this bell captain one time who I think had to be the worst work bully I've ever dealt with in my whole entire life. He would get to work and just sit in the bell closet drinking coffee for the first hour of his shift. During this time, it would get really busy with people checking their bags in and people who were checking out for the day. I think there was times I would purposely leave the bell stand so the front desk would have to check someone's bag in and catch him sitting in the bell closet playing on his phone. After he got caught one day, he told me that I had to tell him on the radio if I left the bell stand at all. That meant he could stay there longer and do absolutely nothing. He would also tell me that I was getting fat, and he would poke my stomach. I went home and cried on so many different occasions. It got to the point that I would wear a corset underneath my uniform so he wouldn't tell me that I was getting fat. He didn't say anything to me about me getting fat for a while, but one day he poked my stomach. He could feel the corset underneath my uniform. I just simply said that I was wearing a weight training corset. He didn't bring it up for a while, and a week went by without any issues from him. One day, we both got off work at the same time. He offered to give me a ride home. When he dropped me off, he went in to use the restroom. Before he leaves, he asked me, "Can I see it?" I was confused, and I just answered back, "See what?" "Your corset," he answered. I'm still very confused, but I pulled out another corset out of my dresser drawer. I show him, and I also tell him that wearing one helps me with my posture and my back more. He just looks at me and says, "No, can I see the one that you are wearing right now?" Okay, this just got creepy. I tell him no, and he just replies, "Well, you don't have to be such a prude about it," and then he leaves. The weeks after that, he gets even more horrible at work. He starts trying to make me feel like I'm going to lose the schedule that I had and get a crappier schedule instead. I can't take it anymore. I've just had enough of the abuse by now. I finally talked to HR about everything that was going on. The crazy thing is that my belt captain was such a narcissist that he convinced HR that I was just being too sensitive. I should have went to HR right away because he told them it was so long ago when he called me fat and that he was just joking with me. HR did go around and talk to other bellhops. One of them did tell HR how he would joke around about changing my schedule all the time. He was no longer allowed to make the schedule, and shortly after, he did quit working there. It took me a while to understand and to be able to forgive him. But karma had other plans for him. All those times he called me fat, well, he put on so much weight after that, and in a short period of time, that it almost looked like he was going to just explode out of his uniform. I think the reason I put up with the bullying for so long was because I really enjoyed being a bellhop. If you are in this situation, just don't do what I did and wait too long to go to HR. That was my mistake. Do you have any work bullying stories that you can share and what you did during that situation to make things better for you. If you do, please share it in the comments below. I would love to read all about it. Also, make sure you check out my video on how to deal with bullies. And please stay tuned for my playlist at the end of this video. It really sucks that most jobs don't do a whole lot to keep their work environment toxic free. And sometimes other coworkers don't do anything to help out because they're just happy that they're not the ones who's getting bullied. You have to be able to stand up for yourself. I thought by being forgiving, I was doing the right thing. But in reality, I ended up just being a doormat to all these bullies. No one deserves to be treated badly in any work environment. We come to do our jobs and not be bullied by our coworkers. If you want, please leave in the comments below the name of the person who is being mean to you, and I will find this person and I will teach them a lesson that they'll never forget. I thank you kindly for watching my channel, and please subscribe. I hope you have a wonderful day and much love to you all. Mwah.